Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning to everyone. It's already now 9 p.m. At least in my country here in the Philippines, it should be 9 a.m. EST. We shall be beginning our webinar. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Great. Thank you for confirming. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, so just a short introduction. Hello, everyone. My name is Erika Lareza, and I will be your moderator for tonight's webinar. So, just a brief introduction. I am the Secretariat for Eval Youth E-Learning Task Force and also the YEE focal person for Asia Pacific Evaluation Association and Philippine Evaluators for Development Association. So this webinar is organized by Sri Lanka Evaluation Association in collaboration with the Center for Evaluation of Sri Jayawardena Pura University, United Nations Populations Fund, Community of Evaluators South Asia, and Global Eval Youth Network. The theme of this webinar is Young People and Enabling an Evaluation Environment. How can both work for each other's benefits? So just a brief orientation with our platform. As it's divided into two parts. First is the meeting viewer, where you can see the presentations, while the other one is attendees control panel, where you could see the list of participants, the chat panel, and the settings panel, where you could test your audio and um, your speakers. And for this webinar, let's set a few ground rules that I hope everyone could remember. First is to mute your microphone if you are not speaking. This is to ensure quality audio for the webinar, and by default, the audience will be muted. So I hope everyone could take note of that. And if you have discussions, comments, and questions, just kindly use the chat box for everyone. And if you are having technical issues, just send a private message via the chat to Chamath Kara, our tech support for tonight. So I hope everyone could cover that. And so on that note, we will begin officially this webinar with a welcoming remark from Randika De Mel, Independent Evaluation Consultant, Council Member, YEE Focal Point for Sri Lanka Evaluation Association, and the organizer for this webinar. Randika, I will be making you the presenter now.
Hello, can everyone hear me? Thank you, Erika, for introducing us for this webinar. First, I would like to thank all the speakers and the participants for taking part in this webinar. And I would especially like to thank my colleague, Asela Kalugampitiya, for initiating this webinar towards YEs. So as Erika mentioned, this webinar for YEs organized by the Sri Lankan Evaluation Association in partnership with the Center for Evaluation in the University of Sri Jayawardena, the United Nations Population Fund, Community of Evaluators for South Asia, and the Global Evaluate Network. We would like to thank all our partners for helping us organize this webinar. And this is an exciting time for all of us here for YEs in Asia, because this is the first webinar to be organized for YEs with SLEVA and its partners for the Asian region. And looking at the registration for this webinar, we had over 180 people register for this webinar, and most of the participants were people who had no experience doing evaluation, who are new to the evaluation field and who have about only 1 or 3 years of evaluation experience, so majority of participants. So we are excited about that new YEs taking part in this webinar. And from next year, we hope to plan many more training opportunities and webinars for YEs for their professional development and to keep the YEs engaged in evaluation. So with that, I would like to thank everyone once again for joining us for this webinar, and I hope all of you enjoy our wonderful lineup of speakers for tonight.
Thank you, Randika. And next for our program is our first speaker will be giving the first opening remarks. He is the M&E specialist with multiple international organizations across Europe and Middle East and North Africa region. He is currently completing his doctoral research at Willy Brandt School of Public Policy in Germany. He is a co-founder and co-chair of Evaluators MENA Regional Chapter, and currently he is a vice chair for the Evaluators Global Network Management Group. Ladies and gentlemen, Khalil Bitar. Khalil.
Thank you, Erika. Can you also please share with me as a speaker so I can share the screen? I cannot do it from here. Can you hear me? Oh, perfect. Thank you. Can everyone now hear me and see the screen? Perfect. Thank you so much. I see that we have 40 participants as so far, and the number is just growing, and I know many more have registered. I'm so glad to connect with all of you. Welcome, everyone. And first of all, really, I want to thank, I cannot go back now, the organizers from SLIVA and the other organizations who came up with this idea of the webinar, which I thought is very, very interesting and very important. As you see, the main topic we are discussing today is about youth and role in strengthening the enabling environment for evaluation. And the central question that I see for this webinar is, what can YES and youth in general do to help create and strengthen an enabling environment for evaluation? It's for all of us to think about. And if you like to add in the chat box, what do you think are the roles? I will be looking at them as well. Today we have really wonderful speakers. The key speakers for the webinar: Marco Segone, who is the director of the Evaluation Office of UNFPA, and the former chair of the UN Evaluation Group, and the former chair and actually founder of Eval Partners. And even before I joined Eval Youth, which I joined actually in the very first meeting, I know that Marco was in fact the person who came up with the whole idea of Eval Youth. And he didn't stop there. For the past 4 years, he was supportive of Eval Youth and has a lot to do with strengthening the culture and environment for evaluation. So I'm looking forward to hear from him today. The other speaker who will speak at length, perhaps with very good presentation about the enabling environment, is Weronika Felcis, and she is an active leader in her national association, but also regional association, the EES, as well as IUCE and Eval Partners executive team. And she works a lot with young and emerging evaluators, part of her role as executive team member of Eval Partners. And she has a lot of experience as well when it comes to enabling environment. One of the first thing I wanted to share with you is to think about what do we mean by enabling environment. This is not to rigidly define it, but to think about what in your context, in your country, does it mean to have an enabling environment for evaluation. This publication has been published a few years ago, authored by Neha Karaka, and editors for this publication were Marco himself and Tessie Katcambas and Jim Roux. On page 15 defines enabling environment to be determined by a culture of learning and accountability, meaning the degree to which information is sought about past performance and extent to which there is a drive to continuously improve and to be responsible or accountable for actions taken, resources spent, and results achieved. And the excellent publication really also talks about advocacy for enabling environment, and it could be very helpful for years as well, whether on the policymaker level or the citizens level. So I invite all of you to look at this. It's available on Evaluators website, but if you search the title, it's also there. The other thing I want to share today is 5 key messages, very quickly, that I think are very relevant to the topic. First of all, actions speak louder than words. As years, I think if we only are active via social media and likes and comments here and there, it's not enough. It's important, but to be active citizen as an evaluator and activist is very important, because you make your voice heard, because you participate in the social movements and you know the pulse of what your people and your context is thinking about. So this is the very first message I wanted to share with you, is to be really active, not behind only a computer screen. Second one is, this is some pictures I share with you for Eval Youth representatives in Eval Partners meetings with executives from international organizations and so on. My message here is to always seek to be present in committees, in movements that are really making decisions, not only be active in the sense that you are there in the street, but also when you have in your country or village or city or country in general or region, to be part of committees that make the difference. Here, Eval Youth representatives, although they are so much younger than other representatives in Eval Partners, for example, they have a word about International Year of Evaluation, where the global forum will be held, what are the main scope of work of different committees. Don't be intimidated. It's very important to participate in such committees. And as my friend and actually previous chair of Eval Partners, co-chair of Eval Partners, NIUC, Ziad Musa says, he says, if the opportunity doesn't knock, make a door. So try always to make a door. Even if you say, oh, now I cannot have reach for some committees, if you are really involved, then you can find a possibility. The third message is to join Eval Youth. I'm not saying this as someone who has been for 4 years as vice chair and now chair of the movement, but as a volunteer who I really care about this network. And I saw how this picture I just put for you here is for the 23 young and emerging evaluators who started the whole movement that has now hundreds of volunteers and many regional chapters. And I'm not only advocating for Eval Youth. Join even similar groups that advocate for issues that you care about. Eval Youth, maybe it's available and we are in different regions and different countries, but try to also join any other network that has like-minded people, because if you work by yourself, you can achieve very little compared to when you work with other people. So this is the third message, very important. Fourth message is to work also regionally and globally, not only in your village or country. It's true, if you look at the map, you see borders, but our globe does not have these borders in reality. We had just on the 23rd, the 4th Eval Youth Virtual Conference, and we had Michael Quinn-Button giving absolutely a beautiful presentation, and actually quoting a lot from his Blue Marble Evaluation book, the new book. One of the key principles of the Blue Marble Evaluation, and something he shared with Eval Youth, is to think globally, act locally and globally, and evaluate interactions. It's not enough to only think and act locally. Globally is very important, and regionally. And here I have some of our chapters in different regions and different countries. If you don't have a chapter in your country, start one or join the regional one. And this is really important for working with other people, not only in your country. Finally, is to keep yourself informed. Keep yourself informed about what's happening in your country in terms of evaluation. What are the government branches that are working on evaluation? What is the situation in general? Write about it. Talk to other people about it. Here I'm sharing a publication from a recent book with the IDEAS conference that it was published in the IDEAS General Assembly last month, or actually in October, in Prague, titled Evaluation for Transformational Change. And Bianca Montes-Moorhead, myself, Josette Arevalo, and Antonina Rishko-Porcescu, we published a chapter. We are all in Evaluate Leadership, and we published a chapter called Revolution in the Making, Evaluation Done Well in the Era of the SDGs, with a youth participatory approach. This could be a starting point, but you have lots of readings and lots of resources that are available, and sometimes not available on the internet, but if you talk to different people in your country who are working on this field, you will see many. So these are the 5 key messages that I wanted to share with you today. And to summarize them very quickly is to, 1, to be active. 2nd, to be participating actively in committees and where your voice is heard. 3rd is to join Evaluate or similar groups that work on such issues. 4th is to work locally, but also think globally and regionally. And finally, to inform yourself and even sometimes even write about what's happening in your country or region that other people don't know about. This is all the time I have. I see that since I started my presentations, there were 30 people. Now we have 50 people, which is amazing. And I'm very glad that so many people are committing their time to listening. But the good thing, the speakers after are excellent and amazing, and we will have a great presentation. Thank you again for the organization. And thanks, Ana Erika, for leading the session. Back to you, Erika.
Thank you so much, Khalil, for that very wonderful opening remarks. For our next speaker to give our next opening remarks, he is previously the director of UN Women Evaluation Office. He is a previous chair for United Nations Evaluation Group, the co-founder and co-chair for Eval Partners, the Global Partnership for National Evaluation Capacities, and for Eval Gender Plus. He has worked in international NGOs in Albania, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Thailand, and Uganda. He is responsible for the decentralized evaluation function as well as the National Evaluation Capacity Development Portfolios at the UNICEF Evaluation Office. He has authored dozens of publications, including Evaluating the SDGs with a No One Left Behind lens, and currently he is the director for the United Nations Population Fund Evaluation Office. Ladies and gentlemen, Marco Segone.
Thank you very much, Erika, Randika, Khalil. Can you just confirm that you can hear me and you can see my presentation? Okay, good. Okay, thanks a lot. So I just have few minutes. So as Khalil, I have only few key messages. And the main message is the one that you can see on your screen, and it's really an invitation to be a young evaluator who makes a difference in the Sustainable Development Goals and in the 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda, including by working for the United Nations. And why? That's because the Sustainable Development Goals are our biggest opportunity. As you know, they are transformative, interconnected, holistic, but they are also our main challenge. If we want to evaluate the SDGs that are really systems, we need new approaches, like system approaches. We need to know how to evaluate uncertain outcomes. We need to know how to evaluate rapidly shifting situations. And we also need to know how to evaluate intervention with a focus on no one left behind and with a focus on social equity. As Michael Quinn-Patton always says, to evaluate transformative development as the Sustainable Development Goals, we need to transform evaluation. And therefore, we need innovation also in evaluation. And as we all know, young people are the master of innovation. And that's what, sorry? Well, I hope you can, you are hearing me, because I hear some echoes. And that's why the evaluation community needs young people. Because young people are not the future, as very often is said, but actually young people are the present to ensure sustainable and equitable future for everybody. So my key message is really be a young evaluator, but not simply a young evaluator, but a young evaluator who is true to the United Nations values of human rights, social equity and justice, gender equality, sustainability, and peace. So how to be a young evaluator in the UN system, you may ask yourself. Well, that's an invitation for you to join one of the next webinars organized by Evaluators in collaboration with the UNFPA on the 10th of January, where we will discuss exactly how to become a young evaluator, how to build a professional career as young evaluators, including in the United Nations. So it's just an open invitation for to join the next webinar. And just to close in within my 3 minutes time allocated, just to say that I'm really professionally representing the Evaluation Office of the UNFPA, the United Nations Fund for Population, and personally committed to do whatever it takes within the limited resources that I have to support you as young evaluator and you as evaluators in doing what you think should be done. So congratulations once again for organizing this webinar, and I'm looking forward to Veronica to hear her keynote speech. So Erika, back to you.
Thank you very much, Marco, for that opening remark and for your commitment and non-stop commitment to helping young and emerging evaluators all over the globe. So for our main speaker for this webinar, she is an M&E specialist who is heavily devoted to building networks to enable the evaluation environment in Poland and Central and Eastern Europe region. She is a graduate of Sociology and Interdisciplinary Doctorate Program Studies at the Jagiellonian University, Poland. She has been working on evaluation research, public policy analysis, and public sector expertise since 2006. She has authored several scientific publications in the field of evaluation, specializing on country evaluation culture and evaluation use. She is a Program Director for the first Polish Evaluation Congress, former President for the Polish Evaluation Society, and its representative in the Network of Evaluation Societies in Europe. Currently, she is a secretary in the International Organization for Cooperation in Evaluation Executive Committee. Please welcome Weronika Felcis. Go ahead, Veronica.
Oh. Can you hear me well? Yes, okay, that's great. Thank you for the confirmation. So thank you to the organizers, thank you to Khalil for a wonderful presentation, and I think our presentations will be very much in tune. Thank you to Marco, who has been really the foundation of our partners and for his inspiring support to Evaluators as well. I will go quickly to the presentation now, since we have limited time, and I want you to also have a chance to participate in the discussion afterwards. So a few disclaimers in the beginning. Wouldn't be me if I wouldn't start with telling you that all of my advices are coming from my personal experiences, and of course your experiences might be differing, but I think some of the advices will be working for you, so take on whatever you feel like and ask any questions at the end. I am not part of the Evaluators and I've never been, but this is by pure chance to some extent, because simply in my region, in the Eastern Europe, meaning more Poland and that part of the world. Now I'm living in Latvia. We don't have the Evaluators. So this is a fantastic opportunity for you to join if you have the network in your region. And if not, you can definitely, with the help of Antonina, Khalil and others, help build it up. Also, this is my personal views, and to some extent, obviously, I will tell you about the networks which I'm representing. But this is very important that there is my personal touch on all of that. I wanted to tell you that this is not going to be a presentation, e-learning webinar about how to build a career. There's loads of fantastic material about that from Evaluators already available on the YouTube channel, and as Marco said as well, available on the 10th of January on the next webinar. So I'm not really going to be focusing on the evaluation capacities of you as a singular evaluators, but really how to build up a common community and create environment that really works for us all. So when I thought about this presentation and of the 3 key things that each of the young evaluators should be having as a skills for enabling evaluation environment, this is adaptive learning, taking on responsibilities, and being a voice, not an echo. And what I mean by that, when you enter some system, some environment of evaluation, the first step, which I've learned through my experience, is really just having your eyes and ears open. Just try to absorb everything like a sponge to really learn what is being done, what has been done, value the history of all the processes, but also understand how it all works together and the points that are not really maybe working so well. In a sense that find the unresolved knots, the problems that are appearing, the problems, the issues that has not been solved yet, maybe with your strength, you can help exactly there, and don't be afraid to volunteer. Obviously, when you volunteer, when you take on some of the responsibilities, you can always ask questions, and throughout all my work and the voluntary work, there were never situations when someone would be getting frustrated with me asking any questions. So don't be ever afraid of that. And thirdly, when you already are responsible for some of the tasks, when you already take on some things, when you learn how the system works, try to bring different voices and integrate them. There is always some kind of limited perspective that we can hold, and being a voice means that you are able to lead that. But also, this is very important that you are trying to bring the voices that might be absent in the whole discussion, that might be, somehow pressured not to be very loud. And in that sense, don't be afraid also to voice a different opinion than those in power who put those pressures. So going through several different steps of this whole evaluation enabling environment, obviously, when you are studying, as I understand, the target audience is people who are already having something in common about evaluation and trying to understand how can they learn more and how can build up more of a knowledge in all of our community, is really the first step is internships and some inputs from the organizations where you're going to be working first. For me, that was the National Evaluation Unit in Poland. And there I learned a lot about how the system, my priority system at that time is working, how the government works and understands evaluation. I've learned a lot about the jargon and the key concepts that we've been discussing at the university, but then seeing also how they work in all of the environment, how they're having different sort of understandings from different actors. And in general, also that kind of view of the national evaluation market. And from any sort of perspective of different organizations, you will also always learn who is doing a job at the really good quality, who can be your aspiring organization, or actors that you really want to connect to, and who are the people who or organizations that really should be building up more their capacities. What I gave at that time was my full time and really positive thinking about those learning processes, and also hearing different perspectives from people. So that's not really, you know, the direct manager of my work at that time, but all of the people with whom I was able to speak and learn their perspectives as well. In addition, at that time, I moved to learn more about the Polish Evaluation Society, which was the community of evaluators. So one thing is when you work for some organization and you, or you're finishing studies and you want to build up your own capacities, you get to know some organizations. But the other thing is about creating a community where you can actually discuss the different capacities that the evaluators should be holding, the standards of evaluation, how it should be looking, what we should be aiming for, what Marco was also speaking about in his presentation, about the ethics. And in general, the issues that might be of concern for evaluation community. This is really important to get involved in the voluntary organization for professional evaluation, which in short we call VOPIs. And at that time, the situation was very funny because the European Evaluation Society had the workshop in the Warsaw, in the capital of Poland. And I participated in that, and I was very eager to learn things, to ask questions. I liked it so much. And in 2 months after that, I became the president of the Polish Evaluation Society. That was a moment of transition for all of the society. I became a member, and quite quickly afterwards, the president asked me if I would like to take on the lead on all of that, which was a week before my due date with my second baby. So having a good spouse in all this business also helps sometimes. But to be serious, that really helped me to also take on a lead and risk some of the really important decisions of refreshing all of the visual identity of the organization, of bringing new people and young people to the network, of celebrating the anniversaries that we had, of connecting people who were coming from different sides of different perspectives and approaches of evaluation in the country, to discuss different things, to bring evaluators club to our society, to integrate people. But I knew as well that this is really the way I work, and those are my personal strengths. So again, coming to those key skills, I learned how the system works, where the Polish Evaluation Society has weaknesses, has strengths, and where I can help with my set of skills. So this is very important. The failure here, which is mentioned, is, I'm not sure if that was really a failure. I was trying to find something that you can also learn from failures. But the difficulty was that I needed to make the decision about the executive committee of our Polish Evaluation Society. I needed to have a very difficult conversation with the person who was in the committee but was not doing much. You definitely came across, or you will come across, situations when you have the voluntary task forces and people are not working. So even though that was a generation older person than me, I needed to have an honest discussion and ask to really step down from the position so that I can bring someone younger who can really help me. That was done in a very transparent way. I discussed it with the board. I had an honest discussion with that person why I need the change. But that was a tough decision for me at the time, being a newcomer. Just to maybe mention as well, the situation in our regional network, the European Evaluation Society, is a bit different than elsewhere. European Evaluation Society has a separate body, the Network of Evaluation Societies in Europe, NESE, which I was coordinating for some time as well. It helped me in understanding what is IOC and why we need IOC so very much for the VOPs. But in EES, I was doing a very similar work again of coming, bringing different thematic working groups together, of reporting about the voluntary evaluator peer review system, which is a fantastic way of learning about your own capacities as well. So again, really connecting different parties and integrating them together. And obviously that wouldn't happen if there wouldn't be people who entrusted me some of the tasks, who have seen the potential, who opened the doors for me, for whom I'm very, very thankful. But still representing and being in touch in all of those networks, which I'm still a member of, I represent them now in the International Organization for Cooperation and Evaluation, which is IOC. And this is the global community for all of the VOPs from all regions. This body is very useful to build up and improve the national networks. The networks is really the organism which is kind of bringing different perspective, approaches, discourses, discussions about evaluations from different sides. And that national network, the VOPI, is somewhat a body that should be staying as an organism that many different parties, task forces, working groups can be building on together. And with operative board, that means that this is someone who is also voicing out different sort of things and the discussions that are happening in the region. And that's why we so heavily focus on that in IOC, which is the so-called home for all of the VOPs. We also created an IOC VOPE toolkit, which is extremely useful tool for different topics of understanding as well. How can you still improve, or even from the very beginning start the VOPI, but also improve at different stages of development the national and the regional VOPIs. It's being constantly updated, and it's really a fantastic tool with different webinars and workshops already done to help understand how it works. So I kindly invite you to have a look at the website of the VOPE Toolkit. The verification task force is something that we do in IOC in order to verify whether VOPE is organized according to the global standards. And we also, through verification task force, try to reach different VOPEs to update the information about them. Professionalization task force is a task force that is really gathering different sort of discussions and discourses about professionalization, and trying to understand as well at which different levels of this whole environment we should be discussing things about professionalization. It really comes out now that the national level is the primary level on which we can talk about it, but nevertheless there should be some kind of ego view on the matter, and this is that. P2P, peer-to-peer programs and innovation challenge is also the programs that young people can benefit a lot and can really exactly give a lot, because in those programs you can apply to test different sorts of your ideas and also different connections with other VOPs to learn from each other. And I bet some of you who are attending this webinar are also happy to share the experiences about those two programs, which are for a long time already working in IOC. So what you can give here is really a connection with us, with IOC, through your VOPs, which I invite you to be part of, and a promotion of this whole community together with us, and different suggestions, of course, of how we can improve and learn also from the young people. And finally, an environment that is most known to all of us here who are the speakers of tonight's webinar, Eval Partners. very difficult for me to speak about it in the presence of Marco, who is the best probably speaker about who is what is exactly about partners. But from my perspective, of a person who has joined it even much later than Khalil, it was already after the Bishkek Global Evaluation Forum that I reached it and joined. So there are already existing the flagship programs that were discussed there about the national evaluation capacities, about integrating all of the global community and bringing non-traditional actors to the floor. And also the Eval Agenda 2020, which is widely discussed in some of the other webinars of Eval Youth on the YouTube channel. And as you can imagine, with the upcoming next year, we will need to update a very important document for us. So this is a moment we also realize, with all the strengths of Eval Youth, we really need to listen to the young voices in the next year to understand what are the requirements and the challenges they're going to meet, and how to direct the next Eval agenda. What you can give to Eval partners is simply your presence, your ideas, your passions, your engagement in the region, because there are so many different networks, so many different ideas, so much of work that we can do together. It's really that no one is ever left behind here. No one is ever empty-handed in this whole situation, and you can always find something that you can participate in according to your perspectives and interests. So I very much invite you to know Eval Youth and these wonderful young people who can also direct you onwards how to find yourself in the world of Eval partners. And above all, there are two main messages coming from all of that, and I will try to slow down a bit because I think I was speaking very quickly. So firstly, I totally agree with Khalil about that evaluation, in order to lead to social betterment, which is a very well-known slogan in the evaluation world, that it's supposed to help us to improve the whole world. You need to understand how privileged we are to do evaluations, that often we are sitting behind the desk or doing some of the field work or working in a fantastic organizations, and so many other people have a much more difficult life and cannot understand even how privileged the situation is here. So this is something that you can really pay off in a way by bringing the activism that Khalil was speaking about to the floor. Really not just sitting by the desk, but by caring about the things that you care for, going out and being with the other people and bringing that evaluation world outside, breaking the silos, breaking our evaluation silos and being helpful there where evaluation should be serving. And also challenge the current ways of thinking, because we know well that by doing business as usual, we will not stand up to the challenges that we need to face together. As Michael have said on Ideas conference in Prague, and the same he said on the 4th virtual conference of Eval Youth, we are the first generation to understand we threaten the planetary health and the last to actually do something about it. So this is very important, that on one hand there's so much of to learn in the evaluation community, in the evaluation world, that we can do together, and we can support you and you can bring new ideas. But on the other hand, evaluation is not the whole world. It's just a lens to help you think systematically, to bring different perspectives and bring evidence to the tables of people in power, but also to the people who need that evidence and bringing it to those who are in power. So this is one, and the other, maybe that's a bit provocative, but very often we're speaking about building a career. And obviously this is very important also to direct young people to help them understand how they can build their evaluative capacities. But primarily, don't ever lose the lens of building your life, not just a career. Throughout the times I've been doing field works with different projects, and I've been working with many important companies in my country, and with different people. I've seen people who have done fantastic jobs and been part of great projects, but they miss something in life. And there's lots of people who are extremely happy in this world, and they haven't done a single evaluation. So finishing that, this is just a few ideas that were appearing in the conference of Eval Youth on 23rd of November. And I really, really invite you to listen to all of the virtual conference, which is already available on the YouTube channel. And they've done a fantastic job with that. So thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you, Ana Erika, and all of the organizers for giving me that first chance to be a main speaker on the webinar. And back to you.
Thank you, Veronica, for that wonderful presentation. So for our next part of the agenda, we will be having a discussion, or more likely, Veronica will be having a discussion with the audience should you have any questions that you would like to clarify. But first, I would like to introduce our discussant for this portion of the agenda. She is the independent M&E specialist with wide work experience in sociological research and monitoring and evaluation. She has a doctorate degree in sociology from the Institute of Sociology of National Academy of Sciences in Ukraine and have a strong knowledge in qualitative and quantitative research methods. She is a board member of Ukrainian Evaluation Association, former secretary of Evaluators e-learning task force, and currently member of Evaluators Global Network Management Group. Antonina.
Yes, hi, Erika. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Just a small update, since I think that the bio was written some time ago, that currently I'm also UNV Monitoring and Evaluation Officer and Regional Office of ICARO of UNVPA. So thank you very much for Khalil, Marco, and Veronica for really great speeches. And I just want to point several main points from my opinion. Yeah? So what was exactly the main idea of these inspirational speeches? First, what I really like, as Khalil say, to be active, and it was echo also in Marco's presentation and also Veronica's. Second point, that we need as young evaluators to join or create networks, and it is really important us to have a common space for sharing. Third thing, I think that it's like learn as much as we can, and to dig deeper and to look for different sources. And the last point, I think both like Veronica and also Khalil mentioned, it's like just not to wait when opportunity will come, but also start your career. And from internships or from volunteering experiences, and build your life, as Veronica finished her presentation. And from this point, I also like when Veronica mentioned that understanding that we as young evaluators should give something in order to gain something from initiative and also from work. And in this regards, a question to Veronica, based on your experience, how we can find a balance between learning from others and work hard within established frames at our job or other established rules, and in the same time to be innovative, create our own voices in the evaluation. And the second question, what I was like looking in the title of this webinar, in your opinion, how young evaluators can support youth engagement in evaluation, and should they? Yes.
Thank you very much, Antonina, for those questions. That really good questions. A big challenge. Obviously, it will not always be possible in the place of your work to change things, innovate, and voice out your opinions. But I would say, in that case, assess whether the way they approach evaluation is really bringing the bigger positive impact to the system. So in that case, if it's of high quality and they're really changing something, and you can learn a lot from that, or if that's really something what you should be thriving, or even sometimes in some of the cases I've met, whether that's ethical way of doing evaluation. Be critical of what you are being built of what you're learning from others, and value higher your humanity and a social impact than sometimes money that you cannot eat or breathe, or the passing prestige of working in some of the companies in your region or my region for that case. But when you learn good things and when you are giving opportunities, as Michael Quinn-Patton said again in the virtual conference, bring the best of you to that. Outside of your workplace, find people who think alike, even if on the other side of the globe. And this is the absolute beauty of this evaluation community that we're building through different networks that I enjoy the most, the correspondence and exchange of thoughts with people all around the globe about the really important stuff to me, and finding the people who are thinking alike, also with the older generation. Many times this is fantastic exchanges with people who have mentored me, not exactly through the mentoring program, but by me approaching them and asking them questions directly. In response to your second question, this is not really about the young evaluators bringing evaluation to youth, and bringing young people to evaluation, I mean, but about evaluation not being in the center of our world. Young evaluators are supposed to serve through evaluation to the needs and challenges of the next generation that we will all encounter. Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Hi, Veronica. Yeah, we could hear you. Thank you so much for that. I believe we have a bit of time for some questions from our audience.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes, hello.
Viswas
Yes.
Sokanathan?
Yeah, we could hear you. Do you have a question for our speaker tonight?
Yes.
Okay.
Could you tell how to we establish a evaluation culture in our offices? Evaluation culture. Hello?
Yes, could you please repeat again your question?
Yeah, how to construct a evaluation culture? Hello?
Yes, how to?
Make or construct a evaluation culture.
Okay.
Or establish.
Okay. Any of our
Yes.
speakers who's willing to answer that question?
How do we establish the evaluation culture? I think Khalil on the chat is suggesting for Marco to answer the question. Maybe we just also should narrow it, whether that's evaluation culture that we're speaking about the specific organization. That's what you mean?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Hello?
Yes, Marco, do you want to answer this question or should I? I'm not sure if Marco is still with us. If you can hear me, I would suggest, yes, Marco is muted, but does it mean? Okay. To my view, and he can complement the opinion here if he wants to. I would say that we need to start from some angle. So in order to do that, learning from evaluation, you should use some kind of framework of introducing evaluation to the organization, and by also assessing the needs and in general the organizational culture of the body that you want to introduce the evaluation. In that sense, to understand how it works and what kind of approaches in evaluation could be fitting and being appropriate in that case. For that, you can also learn a lot from the Better Evaluation website or from our EVOPE toolkit if it comes to organization like EVOPE.
Okay, thank you, Veronica.
Hello.
For those who have
Hello.
any further questions, please kindly type your question in the chat box. Does anyone have any question for our speakers? Okay, Veronica, we have another question. The most recent one would be, how do we become members of IOCE? And
yeah, I think it's also important to read out the answer of Marco, who is having, for some reason, audio problems. That you have to prove the value addition of evaluation to decision makers. When it comes to how to become a member of IOC, the members of IOC are VOPs, Voluntary Organizations for Professional Evaluation, and that means that your evaluation societies, like the one that is already organizing this webinar, or my national or regional networks, and those are the members of IOC. However, the access to Eval partners for young evaluators is much more open, and all of the networks are highly valuing the membership of the young people, all of the 5 networks of Eval partners. Solomon, I couldn't go so quickly. How can VOPs be engaged practically on cross-cutting evaluations consultancies for experience? I'm not sure if understand well.
hello, sorry, we have a lot of questions we're trying to tackle. We have one here, Veronica, that is directed specifically to you from Cecilia Dim. She said, some countries in Europe don't have VOPs like mine, Hungary. Has IOCE made some steps in order to influence the creation of VOPs?
Yes, actually, this is one of the classical examples in the Europe, because we all know from in the national evaluation in the network of evaluation societies in Europe, NESE, that Hungary doesn't have the VOPI for a very long time, and we've been approaching people in the past for many years to start a VOPI. I've been speaking with the person to start a VOPI. Also in Thessaloniki conference of the conference of EES, and still, if it didn't happen, then maybe this is really a topic to raise among the young evaluators and the young people. There never been there was a few years ago, but we never managed to reach the person who was supposedly starting some Evope in Hungary years ago. So that's really, I mean, I can help as much as I can, but I think this is really a topic that if anyone dares to start, I think all of the doors can be open, and IOC and EES will be of much help and support.
Veronica, hi, I'm Cecilia. Thank you very much for your reply. Unfortunately, I don't live in Hungary. So I would have liked to join the VOP in Hungary, and then I just realized there is no one. And,
okay, this is the situation. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
then,
yeah, because I don't live there, creating a VOP online doesn't make sense.
Of course. In Thessaloniki with a person on the ground. This is why I'm a bit worried that it still haven't happened. So it needs to happen bottom up. IOC cannot influence anyone in the country, and especially governmental agencies, to do that. But other than that, what I can propose is really being a member of the European Evaluation Society, and probably speaking directly with people at the universities or some other people who are doing evaluation to start a VOP. This is a better situation because, for example, in Romania and some other countries, we have several different VOPs at the national level, and this is really a problem. Which one of them should be verified as the main one? So I think there are big hopes to do something in Hungary.
And another remark, you mentioned Romania. Actually, I'm also from Romania. I have double citizenship. So I also looked at the Romanian, and then I saw that there are two organizations. Yes. And it's the same problem. I don't live also in.
For that, you can contact me later, and I can give you directions about which of them has been verified with IOC.
Okay, thank you for that, Cecile. Oh, maybe let's take in one last question. Okay, here's one question from Ibrahim Doso. I would like to know what is the best process for YE because sometimes the VOPs are not very open. Or should I start advocacy and volunteer, or it's better to go learn evaluation before integrate to VOP?
I think it's a very important question. And indeed, very often those are well-established groups of people who have been working in the same modus operandi for many years. And it's difficult for the young evaluators to reach and be part of VOPs. I was in a very lucky situation, but I know that there might be some struggles. For that reason, I think Eval Youth and IOC can really support the young people in understanding how to present the arguments for the VOPs, also to include the young people. Because VOP themselves really gain a lot from introducing the young people and allowing them also to change some things. Any organizations which is not willing to introduce changes will be feeling the new people and especially young people. But I think there are very strong arguments on also the experiences of other VOPs which have really flourished thanks to young people. We are very happy to help in such cases.
Mm-hmm. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. I'm Malika from Sri Lanka.
Yes, hello. Wait. Let's just have one final question. So maybe
Solomon here.
Let's just have one. Okay, maybe
it's not a question. I'd like to make an observation that it was a very interesting discussion, and a provoking discussion. What we need to push forward is that the national WOPAs should proactively involve the YEEs. It is not yet happening. It's very occasionally that someone is taken in as part of a research partner. So how do we get about it?
Unfortunately, the way we can involve young people, we can do the appropriate advocacy. We can do appropriate advocacy for the young people and why we should be including them, but it's always the case at the national level or even particular level of the organizations. Obviously, it's a change that we are trying to introduce, but if it's not quick enough, maybe we can advise in some particular situations. But really, that's not our role to interfere with particular cases or OPIs. We can explain, we can clarify, we can advocate, but we also cannot push or pressurize.
Thank you for that, Veronica, and for the wonderful questions. I can see that we have a couple of questions. Maybe, Veronica, will you be accepting questions via email in case for the several participants that wish to? That's very great. For those whose questions are not answered, please feel free to send your questions towards Veronica or tweet them at Evaluators Twitter account, and maybe we could reach Veronica through there. Okay, so we'll be moving on to the last part of our agenda. For our next speakers, he is a monitoring and evaluation specialist with work experience in international development and with the government of Afghanistan. He's a Fulbright Scholar of Master of Arts in International Development at Clark University in Worcester, Massachusetts. He is a board member of the Afghan Evaluation Society, secretary of the Evaluators Global Mentoring Program, and a member of Evaluators Global Network for Management Group. Please welcome Qudratullah Jahid. Qudratullah.
Hi, thank you for the introduction. Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, morning, afternoon, everyone, wherever you are. For me, it has been an honor to participate in today's webinar. I believe it was an excellent webinar, and thanks to our speakers who presented amazing topics today and great discussions. Before providing my closing remarks, I would like to just make an announcement that we will be launching an Evaluate Asia chapter. We have been talking among the colleagues in this region for some time, and as a member of Evaluate Management Group, I believe that we needed a chapter here. So you will soon hear the good news, and everyone will be welcome to be part of that. To my closing remarks, I hope that you all had a great time in today's webinar. I would like to thank all our wonderful speakers who spoke today. I thank them because they have allocated their precious time to us as young people. We always remain thankful to them. Thank you so much. The great work that you are doing, and specifically both for the evaluation community and specifically for the young and emerging evaluators. Whenever we have called on you, you have allocated your time. We're so thankful to you. Thank you. I also would like to thank the amazing organizers of this event, specifically Randika, who has been in touch with everyone. I know you all have put a lot of efforts to make this happen. Thank you so much. To my young and emerging evaluator colleagues, I hope that you will continue your professional journey in evaluation. There is still immense need for young voices in the evaluation community. We have come a long way forward. We have achieved a lot with the great leadership of Eval partners, IUC, Evaluate, the regional and national WOPAs, the great leaders that we have. but we still, although we have achieved a lot, there is a journey to be continued. So please continue your professional building and at the same time supporting this event. And finally, on behalf of the organizers, I would like to express my appreciations to all the participants who took their time to participate in today's webinar. A special thank you to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Qudratullah. Again, as before we end this webinar, again, as we would like to give our acknowledgements and many thanks to the speakers that we have tonight, to Khalil, to Marco, to Veronica, to Antonina, and of course to Qudratullah. Thank you so much. And of course to the organizers, to Randika and Chamatkara, who's been working nonstop behind the scenes to organize this event, the Sri Lanka Evaluation Association, to the collaborators, Center for Evaluation, University of Wardenapura University, UNFPA, Community of Evaluators of South Asia, and Global Evaluate Network. Thank you so much for supporting this event. And of course, as Qudratullah have mentioned, Evaluate Asia chapter will be launching. So if you are interested in joining, please email us at evaluate@asia@gmail.com. So yeah, thank you so much for everyone. I'll be leaving this for everyone's reference. Thank you so much.